Now, this is one with many edges to it. So I think you guys have been following it. And ever since Mayfield has been drafted to Cleveland, he has been a headline. He has been a story. And it's a very, very fascinating one to me. There's so many different factors leading Cleveland back to the playoffs for the first time, catching that 2-point conversion against the Jets for his first career win. There's a lot of promise, and there's a lot of things to root for when you're Baker Mayfield. The underdog mentality, going on Colin Cowherd's podcast and being like, "Hey man, you're a chump," stuff like that. He didn't actually say that, but they beef. But I've always been a big fan of Baker. I always loved his personality. I think he could be a distraction at times, but I think there was always potential there. Not necessarily number one overall pick, but certainly worthy of being one of the 32 starters in the league. And if there's one thing that Baker Mayfield is that everybody can agree on, is that the dude is tough as nails. And it certainly showed that with this season with the Cleveland Browns. After making the playoffs in a COVID year, Baker tore his labrum, and he had to deal with that since week 2 of the season in a stretched out year where all of the pressure was on him. Contract year, has to get that extension, has to prove himself worthy of a contract extension of a number one overall pick so the Browns can commit themselves to this guy for a longer term. But then we had some other stuff happen in the mean mix of everything. We had Deshaun Watson. And say what you will about the legal stuff, I try to stay away from that on the show. I always have and always will. But he's a hell of a quarterback. And when Deshaun Watson's on the field, things change. And stuff circulated from Houston, stuff circulated in the media and all that. And then something interesting popped up in the middle of the season is that Cleveland was a potential suitor for the quarterback that was disgruntled in Houston. And a lot of people were either going, yes, you got to take that upgrade when you can get it ASAP. And there were some saying, hey, Baker Mayfield just took us to a playoff run. What are we doing ditching him to the curb? There's so many different ways you can look at this. I'm going to start with the one. They got Deshaun Watson. They signed him to a mega extension, $230 million. Richest extension in history. Never seen it happen. Crazy stuff. But there's also another side of the quarterback that fought for his life, fought for everything for that franchise, and gets cast aside. It's the name of the business. It's the name of the NFL. It's how these things work. But as the story has progressed, as civil suits emerge, as storylines coming out, as suspensions are potentially pending, I think there's a way that this solution can be solved with Deshaun Watson and the Browns and how Baker Mayfield can fit into this mix. There's a lot to it. I believe in Baker Mayfield, though. 26 touchdowns, 8 picks when he was the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2020, that COVID year that everybody remembers. No fans, big adjustments, testing all the time. That's a year of a quarterback where you got to prove yourself as, I think, not necessarily play, but leadership. That's a tough year to be able to lead everybody. That's a tough year where everybody's having to try to figure out an answer, find something. How do we play in this new environment? And Baker did it masterfully. He was able to master the play action, control the run game, be able to call out certain things and make throws when he needed to, almost beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. The Cleveland Browns were one of the highlight stories, almost a Cinderella story in my mind, during the 2020 season, something to root for. A city we often like to make fun of and like to make jokes of. Cleveland was rising above it all. And they had a great year. They took down Pittsburgh in the playoffs. They annihilated them. Baker Mayfield was efficient. He was present. He wasn't a distraction. And this year, it just did not work out. It was very unfortunate. A lot of struggles and a lot of expectations, all on this man's shoulders, no pun intended. But I think there's a way to fix it, like I said. And I think regardless of how you feel about the Deshaun Watson case, and I think this is very hypothetical based on what I've read, let's just say Deshaun Watson is suspended anywhere from 8 games to a year. And I know 8 games in a year is a very, very wide range of stuff that we're playing with here. But I think there's a way for Baker Mayfield to be able to prove that he's still got it and at the same time lead this kind of roster. Because what makes everybody forget? All the struggles, all the sins, success. And let's say that the Browns not the Browns, the NFL suspends Deshaun Watson for 8 games. And the Browns say, hey, Baker, we need you. And it's kind of like that hero moment where it's like, he was there all along. Well, we couldn't see it. I think that the Baker Mayfield could have his return moment. He could be Cleveland's hero without being Cleveland's hero in a way. Now, there are trade rumors for him going to Carolina, but this is solely based off of in the now, in the present. I don't know how this salary cap situation works with Carolina and Baker Mayfield. I know there have been trade talks, but it feels very stagnant. It feels like it hasn't moved in the last couple of weeks. So let's throw that hypothetical out there. Let's say Baker Mayfield comes back to camp. Deshaun Watson's not able to practice with the team. You bring in a new number one receiver with Amari Cooper. This roster, very, very capable of winning a Super Bowl with the right pieces. They can revitalize the run game. They can do what works for Baker Mayfield, run the football 30 to 40 times, let Baker Mayfield throw it maybe 18 to 22 times, mid-level passing, play action passing. He's fully capable of doing that. He doesn't have his go-to guy in Jarvis Landry, but they have clearly capable guys in Njoku. They have Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones. They got a lot of guys that can make it work and can make it happen. Let's say Mayfield goes 5-3, 6-2 with this Cleveland Browns team. It has to take a step back. Maybe he doesn't even come back or is the backup for the rest of the season. Not only is Baker Mayfield doing a lot of good things for himself, but he's doing a lot of good things for Cleveland. And this is what has Baker Mayfield always been nagged at? His maturity, his ability to rise above certain situations. Can you imagine what would it be like for a lot of teams to see, hey, this quarterback really swallowing his pride here and leading Cleveland to a potential playoff run, a city that's desperate for that kind of success. And I know they just made the playoffs 2 years ago and they had a pretty good basketball run when LeBron was there. But this is a team that when success comes, it is celebrated and it is super fun to watch. Can you imagine if Baker Mayfield led this team to a 6-2 record and Watson took them to the Super Bowl? Baker's the hero. Baker's the guy who swallowed his pride, was mature, and had 8 games on tape now to say, hey, that last year playing on a torn labrum, shouldn't have tackled that guy. But I went through it and I can do it for your team too. Baker gets his contract extension in Cleveland. Not only just removes themselves from this nightmare that's been the Deshaun Watson situation, but also has a story. I love a good story when I see one, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys because I think Baker Mayfield and the Browns can really benefit from each other in a substantial way. I believe it. I believe in Baker Mayfield. So Baker, if you see this podcast, no, I got your back, bud. But anyways, guys, that was our Monday morning podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed why the Lakers are trapped and why I really don't have a solution for it. It's insane. And why Baker Mayfield can save the Browns. Guys, this was episode 92 of the Man with a Plan podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, thank you so much, as always, for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get my face-to-face and all the hand movements and all that. It's just crazy. But thank you guys, as always. Happy Father's Day to those who celebrate. Thank you guys so much. Have a great week and take care.